So, and what the book demonstrates is the value of boom and bust. Because during a boom, we are exuberant as all hell. We see ways to get rich in all kinds of ridiculous and nonsensical schemes. And we try out hundreds of possibilities that look like they can make us rich. And we have these dreams of moving up. We have these dreams of living in luxurious apartments and getting all the girls we could never get and owning all the sports cars we want and stuff like that. It just seems to be right around the corner, just 2 weeks away. And then all of a sudden we go through, well, you've heard of mania and depression, manic
Hmm.
depressives.
Hmm.
Well, as economic individuals, we are manic depressives to the nth degree. So we go through our manic phase and we see infinite possibility in everything. And then we go through our depressive phase and we see infinite danger and infinite risk in everything. And we yank our money out of the stock market and we yank our money out of real estate and we put our money under the mattress and we start looking around for somebody to blame for the consequent bust. It's a it The manic depressive phase throws you through radical perceptual shift. In one perceptual phase, everything looks glittering and golden and wonderful, and in the other perceptual shift, everything looks dangerous and gnarly and monstrous and evil. And we're in the phase right now. We call it recession. They called it depression once upon a time because previously we called panic, and people are always looking for a nicer, kinder, gentler name for it. But it doesn't. But eventually, even the nicer, kinder, gentler name takes on the evil overtones of just how bad a depression can be, or a panic can be. But one thing we know for certain, just as certain as we know that everything that's born is going to die, is that wait 6 years, wait less than that. And we will be exuberant as hell again, seeing the possibility of getting rich in everything in sight, because we're going through the equivalent of the homesteading phase with our stalk glued to the ground, and our exploratory phase with our stalk turned into a whip-like propeller. And I could tell you the story of Chicago and how why speculators are like sperm, but I every once in a while I have to leave space for you to ask a question.
Well, I was just wanting to make a statement here, as you know, we should transition into talking about some of our subjects, and then that's what's really engaged me with your three books and this whole narrative that you paint is that you point out these patterns that we're not able to just look at in the big picture, but also in our own lives.
Right?
When you talk about the pecking order, when you talk about boom and bust, I'm able to see these things in my own life. I'm able to see these things not just in history and not just in politics, but I'm able to look at them in the way that I run Newsreel blog, that I'm able to see that certain people fall into certain roles. I'm able to look at our traffic as a boom and bust. And I think the people that are listening to this, that's a way to really appreciate your work, is that it's not just looking out there, it's also looking inside and looking at taking these perceptual models and able to apply them to your own life. So
And
that's
I think that's to me that's an absolute obsession. I mean, I'm absolutely obsessed with showing you how to use these things to see your own life minute to minute in different ways.
yeah.
Because if we look at these boom and bust cycles in our own lives, think of, we try not to acknowledge this. We all try to be normal. None of us are normal. All of us are a little bit crazy. And the result is that you get up in the morning, watch your average day. And in your average day, you'll see yourself going through boom and bust, manic depressive cycles during the course of the day. There
Hmm.
will come times when you doubt the value of everything that you're doing, and you'll think that everything you're doing is of no value to a single soul on the planet. 15 minutes later, or an hour later, you will have forgotten all about that. You will have gotten into the swing of your work, you will be exhilarated and on a high. If things are going reasonably well, and then an hour later, 2 hours later, you will have lost all confidence in yourself. I'm exaggerating it a little bit, but not
Hmm.
that much.
Yeah.
Not that much at all. I mean, I have a friend who he's brilliant. He was had his first syndicated television show when he was 23 years old, and then was working to establish his own syndicate because he did the first one with a partner, and to establish his own syndicated television show, and he's got one, and it's in its fourth season now. And he used to tell me that I used to say to him, "You've got to plan for what you're going to do this weekend. Your mind is alive and vigorous on Friday night because you're accustomed to being in work, and work picks up your spirits and gets you moving. Um, but if you need to plan what you're going to do on Saturday and Sunday, so that you wake up on Saturday and Sunday morning with a sense of purpose. And he would say, no, I won't do that. Saturdays and Sundays are there to be spontaneous. The man was an idiot. I mean, he's bright, he's brilliant, he's talented, and all of that stuff, but he was an idiot. Because, in fact, if you wake up on a Saturday morning with nothing to do and no sense of a goal, you wake up in a gray fog. You are in a perceptual state that's unbelievable. It is so depressing, it's ridiculous. Um, and a simple sense of direction gives you a place to gives you wakes you up, gives you something to become engaged with. And now, what in the world does this have to do with the subjects of the three books we've been talking about? Well, remember that in a learning machine, the parts that are plugged in, the parts that are accomplishing something, those parts get additional juice, they get additional energy, they get additional resources. But the parts that aren't showing that they're plugged into anything at all, those parts go through pre-programmed cell death. They go through a little death. They go through a little bit of destroying their own the perceptual system, shutting it down, and even shutting down the immune system. Because when you're not proving useful to anybody around you, your immune system begins to shut down, and the result is you become unusually prone to sickness. And so my friend needed something that gave him a sense of engagement and a sense of purpose and a sense of being connected to other people when he woke up in the morning on Saturday or he was a dead man. Well, if this kind of horrible depression can happen and to almost everybody's weekend, if they don't plan it properly, just think how rigged your system is for mania and depression, for being exhilarated at one point and forgetting you've ever been depressed, even that you were depressed an hour and a half ago. Um, and then being so depressed you can't remember when you were exhilarated, or it's hard to. So you're right, these things apply in the very nitty gritty little tiny corners, private corners of our own lives.
So let's move on now. I think people should have some idea of the basic way that you approach looking at the world. So let's start talking now. You and I have had a lot of good emails and exchanges the past couple weeks, couple months, um, about one of our shared passions, which is Zionism. And
Right.
and that's an issue that we particularly focus on at Newsreel. So I was wondering if maybe you could start talking a little bit about why are you a Zionist, Howard?